Hey, this is member Zoom chat. We just had an off-the-record discussion on the negativity in the members channel, etc., on Discord, and if we're going to do anything about it. And officially, the co-op really can't do anything, but we as individuals, we can remind people that those that this negativity is counterproductive for those people who own rock and or want RChain to succeed, and we should have a place where we can complain and have our complaints taken seriously. And I think the effort that we're having in the governance group in GP001A, okay, Steve Talbot Ross, or Steve Ross Talbot, I guess.
No, we don't speak Old English anymore. We don't speak Middle English.
The quality of...
But there's a classic, so it does drive me crazy when I see woes spelled W-A.
Somebody else watching a video, turn off your microphone.
I'm going to mute Ned. I muted Ned.
Right?
Jim, could you share your screen if you're going to talk about that governance document?
All right, this is the link is in the governance channel, and we're asking for people's comments on it. But we have a question of interest here, and I think we're trying to do where we can people that have questions, if we probably should consider them as questions of interest, and sort of vet the process of handling these by taking questions and giving answers to them, or sending people to the right channel, or engaging people privately, and trying to get these concerns directed towards solutions and positive outcomes, rather than having it dissuade investors and bring down the price of the rock, etc. So the topic, question of interest, so basically, I guess what we're saying is that in the members group here, we people do raise some interesting questions, or questions that there should be an answer, and we should also remind people that there's places where they can get answers. That at the end of the debrief, and on Wednesday, and the Friday members review with Greg, where they can ask, you can ask any question you want. I mean, it could be you won't get the answer, but this is not, it was said that people generally ignore this because there's so much noise here, and things have been answered a dozen times, but there are questions that should be a valid answer, and we should show that maybe respond to these people privately to see if we can help them direct their energy towards something positive. I guess I had we had some progress with the blockchain art. We stored documents on Keybase, and started looking into creating robot contracts and basically have art objects owned by a robot account that enforces our contracts on the art object. And we'll get to more of that next week. We met yesterday for the node runners, and we ran the development version, and we learned to, set the options for running the sandbox network for the latest dev version, and then schedule the proposes rapidly in order to try to get the hit the test against the proposed time bug. But we never actually deployed a contract to and we got into other things. That's enough to report for now. Steve, do you want to report on what's on your mind?
Yeah, hey everybody. Actually, just kind of elaborating on what Jim was discussing about Tuesday, our node testing. So we had, and hopefully I'll get his name correct this time, Arvin. It's not, no, I still think did I do it right?
Right?
It's Arvin, okay. So Arvin is a Chinese front-end developer. And if you may have noticed in the development channel on Discord, he posted a screenshot of the user interface for my RChain wallet. So, so our discussion was to kind of get the wallet project moving. So Arvin, he's providing his skill, effort, and time, and to develop this the web interface for the RChain wallet. So he has reserved RChainwallet.com. It's going to take him 1 to 2 weeks to build out that front interface, and at that time he'll have a demo that he'll be able to show everyone of his work. So that's the front end piece. The back end piece, we're going to speak with Tomislav to help get oriented on getting the back end piece working that we need.
Yeah, and if somebody wants to learn the gRPC interface, Tomislav will mentor. He'll guide a developer to work on the back end capabilities.
Exactly. Thank you, Jim. So with and I'll comment on that here in a second. And then the middle piece, the connectivity, is NetZipper, who's been our go-to person for the our node testing. So on that note of learning about gRPC, so our Tuesday session for node testing, we're rebranding it as wallet development and testing. So it's 10 a.m. Eastern time. It's a bit early, Pacific time, 7 a.m. But we have Arvin, who's in China, so it's 10 p.m. his time. So trying to find a time to where as many people can attend is a challenge, given that everyone's in different time zones. But the goal for, so this coming Tuesday, we'd like to have our first wallet development and testing session. And I'll be reaching out to everyone in our RChain community who's been involved in some capacity with wallet development, and inviting them to attend our Tuesday session, so we can have all these minds together and think about what are the components and pieces that we need to put together my RChain wallet. So, and Ian, your name came up as well, as far as someone had mentioned that you've been looking at some of the different ways to sign transactions. So, but I'll send out an invite or a message to everyone as far as when the date and time is. And so hope, so I mentioned Ian, maybe Ed Eichholt, Ned, I think we discussed, you're certainly invited. Try to get Thomas Slavs there, get him there, get Nutzipper, Arvin, of course. And so I've got kind of a list of people who've been thinking or working on wallets. So, so yes, so that's hopefully I'll get some traction. And then if you get a chance, if anyone's interested, there's now Sebastian has put into GitHub in the RChain repository a folder on protobuf. So now we have a blessed contract for transactions and also for checking balances. So whenever you have an app and you need to, whenever there's a transaction, I send rev to Jim or Jim send revs to me. This file, this rev transfer file, is executed to make that happen. So that's a blessed contract, meaning that there's no cost or gas or flow expended. So we have that file, and then also a check balance .proto is available. So this just highlights that some of the pieces, the connecting tissue that makes up RChain is coming together. So these are some of the I think some of the final pieces that we need as we move towards the cost accounting, which ultimately gets us to mainnet. So,
hey Steve, what was the name of the first blessed contract you mentioned?
And boy, I call it transaction.proto, but I don't believe that's accurate now. I know the second one was check balance
Right.
2.proto, but they're right there in the same folder.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So
my understanding is that we have to deploy those contracts in order to do the transfer. So that this is just ordinary code deployed to RChain.
So I took it as those contracts are in the registry. So you have to connect with those. So right, and that was a point that I probably needed to make. So blessed contracts that are essentially free. They don't cost anyone computation, any flow or gas. The blessed contracts are in the registry, so they're there to be used as much and as often as needed. So so transactions, moving money back and forth, and what's my balance?
So Steve,
yeah.
Okay, so my understanding of a blessed contract was that it was a contract that was owned and maintained by the entity who owns the blockchain. In this case, the co-op, right?
Right.
So, and like you said, they're in the registry, and that to me is what blessed means, not that you could execute them without a cost. Because that would mean that we're going to allow transactions without people paying for it. I think that kind of goes against the RChain model.
Well, I took it as there's multiple criteria that make up what a blessed contract is. So, and I'm referring back to a video of Mike Stay that I watched where he discussed blessed contracts. So I'm trying to reinterpret what he said to everyone, and so I would imagine, yes, those as what you said, were certainly criteria as a blessed contract, but an additional feature of these blessed contracts was that there was no cost as compute, that it was because it's provided by RChain.
So we need to check. I know Mike Stay has always believed, and he and Greg have always disagreed. He doesn't believe there should be transaction fees for anything. But
Okay.
I would think Greg would blow a gasket if he found out we were going to enable transactions without charging anything.
Okay, well, so this is good that these points are brought up, because I've been under that interpretation from a video that's a year old. And that may have been fine at the time or been a point of discussion, but things change. And I think it's important that regardless of where someone is at any point in time, ultimately we want to get to be on the same page. So
Absolutely. Yeah, we should check, because that's a big
exactly. I
difference.
think that's the important point to work out. So
Okay.
we've
Thank
got
you.
5 minutes or so as we approach our community call. I know I've been the one speaking. I guess I want to. I do have a couple other things one other thing I want to say, but I want to let the floor to anyone else I want to share the time. So feel free, anyone who wants to speak. If not, I just wanted to point out from the governance meeting last week, a topic that came up that kind of I thought was a good idea. I think it was Jim's idea, as far as we've been discussing these questions of interests and topics of discussion as far as how to manage this process. So it was kind of proposed that a question of interest, a document would be creating, I guess, with an ID, so I guess it could be originated in Discord, but ultimately that question of interest, people go to this Google Doc in order to add comments which would be accepted or denied, and then ultimately, so that's kind of where the discussion led. Working with Discord and Google Docs to manage these questions of interest and topics of discussion. But it came up, well, how do we archive and search for these? So as everyone knows, trying to find something in Discord is challenging so I think one point was taken that we can pin, so once a question of interest becomes formalized, it's complete, that, question of interest number 20 gets pinned to a channel. So that's one way to find it. So you can always refer to it that way. And I thought perhaps maybe creating a repository in GitHub. So it would be, we'd have question of interest and topics of discussion. So anyone can go to that GitHub repository to see a history of all the items that have been created. So I thought I just wanted to add that. And maybe in the governance meeting tomorrow, we can discuss that as well. So,
Great.
yeah.
So we have 4 minutes. Anyone else have anything? Okay. I guess we can get back 3 minutes break before the start of the debrief. Oh, I noticed that the debrief was deleted from the calendar this week. So I assume that the person who deleted it isn't here. But maybe we need to reduce the number of people that have permission to delete items from the community calendar. So people can accidentally delete it from their personal calendar or thinking they're deleting it from the personal calendar when they're actually deleting it from the group calendar. So we have to watch that, and maybe.
I make that mistake all the time because the community calendar looks almost like my calendar, my personal calendar. But then, you know, I get it confused with the Mattermost calendar, and they don't look alike at all either.
Dig Life.
Dig Life, yeah.
All right. See you later, folks.
See everyone.